Attachment is not created by force, manipulation, or overgiving. Real emotional connection happens when attraction, comfort, and admiration quietly blend together. When a man begins to associate calm, excitement, and emotional fulfillment with one person, attachment becomes natural and intense. This is not about changing personality or pretending to be someone else. It is about understanding emotional psychology and showing up in a way that leaves a lasting imprint on the heart and mind. Emotional attachment is not created by pursuit, pressure, or constant availability. It forms quietly through emotional experience. What matters most is how a person feels in your presence, not how often you appear or how much effort is displayed. The human mind bonds to emotions, not actions alone. When interactions consistently produce calm, warmth, excitement, and understanding, the brain begins to associate those feelings with one specific presence. Attachment grows strongest when there is no sense of force. Chasing creates resistance, while emotional ease creates openness. When conversations feel natural rather than rehearsed, connection deepens effortlessly. Being emotionally grounded allows others to relax, and relaxation is where attachment begins. People become attached to places, music, and memories because of how those things make them feel, and emotional bonds work the same way. Authenticity plays a major role. When there is no need to impress, perform, or over-explain, interactions feel real. Emotional honesty builds familiarity, and familiarity builds comfort. Comfort is often mistaken as boring, but in reality, it is one of the rarest emotional experiences. When someone feels safe being themselves, attachment strengthens without conscious effort. Emotional presence is more powerful than constant communication. Being fully engaged during interactions leaves a stronger impression than frequent but shallow contact. Quality replaces quantity, and emotional depth replaces noise. Silence does not weaken attraction. When emotional connection is strong, it often enhances it by allowing space for reflection and longing. True attachment also grows when there is no fear of loss being imposed. Freedom increases desire, while pressure diminishes it. When emotional connection is offered without conditions, it becomes more valuable. The mind naturally gravitates toward what feels peaceful, emotionally nourishing, and consistent, especially when those feelings are rare and difficult to replicate elsewhere. Mystery and self-respect create attraction on a deeper psychological level than constant availability ever could. When someone's entire world does not revolve around one connection, curiosity naturally develops. Attraction thrives in spaces where not everything is immediately accessible. A life filled with personal goals, passions, routines, and boundaries signals emotional maturity and strength, which is deeply compelling. Self-respect is communicated through actions, not words. Saying no when something feels wrong, taking time before responding, and honoring personal needs sends a powerful message. It shows that attention is valuable and not handed out freely. When attention is earned rather than demanded, it carries weight. People tend to value what feels intentional, not automatic. Mystery does not mean secrecy or emotional distance. It means allowing layers to unfold naturally. Oversharing too quickly removes intrigue, while gradual emotional revelation builds anticipation. When stories, thoughts, and emotions are shared over time, connection feels like a journey rather than a transaction. The mind becomes engaged, wondering what comes next. Having a full life outside of romantic attention prevents emotional dependence. Independence creates balance, and balance creates attraction. When happiness does not rely on constant validation, presence becomes more powerful. Time spent together feels chosen, not required, and that distinction changes how attachment forms. Self-respect also influences how boundaries are enforced. Accepting inconsistent behavior, disrespect, or emotional neglect weakens attraction. Calmly stepping back when standards are not met reinforces value without confrontation. Silence used with self-respect is not punishment, but clarity. Attraction intensifies when there is space to miss, space to reflect, and space to desire. Mystery keeps interest alive because the mind continues to engage even in absence. When confidence, boundaries, and independence coexist, emotional pull strengthens naturally without effort or pursuit. A deep emotional bond forms when someone feels genuinely understood rather than merely noticed. Feeling understood goes beyond being heard. It means emotions are recognized without being judged or minimized. When reactions are met with patience instead of criticism, emotional walls slowly come down. This creates an internal sense of safety where vulnerability feels acceptable, and vulnerability is the gateway to strong attachment. Emotional safety develops through consistent responses. Calm reactions during difficult conversations, steady support during uncertainty, and reassurance without control allow trust to grow. When emotions are not used against someone later, the connection becomes a place of refuge rather than risk. The mind remembers where it felt safe to express itself without fear. Feeling valued strengthens this bond even further. Appreciation focused on character, effort, and intentions creates emotional resonance. When qualities like integrity, determination, or kindness are acknowledged, it touches a deeper emotional layer than surface-level compliments. This kind of recognition makes someone feel irreplaceable rather than interchangeable. Consistency is what transforms moments into attachment. Showing the same emotional warmth across different situations builds reliability. When affection does not disappear during conflict or stress, it signals emotional maturity. This steadiness allows attachment to grow without anxiety because uncertainty weakens emotional bonds while consistency reinforces them. Being emotionally present means responding with empathy rather than solutions. Sometimes understanding is all that is needed. Allowing space for feelings without trying to fix them builds emotional closeness. It communicates acceptance rather than correction. Over time, emotional safety, validation, and understanding begin to blend together. The connection stops feeling performative and starts feeling grounding. When emotional expression is met with warmth and respect, the bond deepens naturally, creating attachment rooted in trust rather than fear. Emotional attraction strengthens when there is a balance between familiarity and surprise. When every interaction follows the same pattern, the mind stops engaging deeply. Variety keeps emotional energy alive. Shifting naturally between thoughtful conversations, playful exchanges, and quiet moments creates a dynamic connection that feels alive rather than routine. Emotional rhythm keeps interest active without creating instability. Unpredictability does not mean inconsistency or emotional games. It means allowing moments to unfold organically rather than forcing outcomes. Small changes in tone, pacing, or interaction style can spark curiosity. Sometimes being deeply attentive and other times allowing space creates emotional contrast. This contrast stimulates longing and appreciation. Consistency still plays a vital role. Reliability in values, respect, and emotional availability builds trust. When behavior aligns with words, the connection feels secure. Security allows unpredictability to feel exciting rather than unsettling. Without consistency, unpredictability becomes chaos, but when paired together, they enhance emotional attachment. Emotional variety also includes allowing growth within the connection. New conversations, shared experiences, and evolving perspectives keep emotional investment fresh. When there is room for discovery, attachment strengthens because the connection continues to expand rather than stagnate. Allowing space is as important as closeness. Absence creates reflection, and reflection strengthens desire. When time apart is comfortable rather than anxious, emotional dependence is avoided while attachment deepens. Space allows emotions to breathe and desire to reset naturally. When emotional balance is maintained, connection does not feel overwhelming or dull. It feels engaging, grounding, and emotionally stimulating. This balance keeps interest alive while allowing attachment to grow steadily, driven by curiosity, comfort, and emotional resonance. Presence has a deeper impact than perfection ever could. Being fully present means attention is not divided, responses are not rushed, and moments are not treated as distractions. Emotional presence is felt when listening is intentional and reactions are genuine. This kind of attention creates a sense of importance that lingers long after interactions end. It is not about saying the right things, but about being mentally and emotionally available in the moment. Perfection often creates distance, while presence creates closeness. Trying to appear flawless can feel performative, but authenticity feels grounding. Small imperfections paired with emotional sincerity make interactions real and relatable. When someone feels accepted without pressure to impress, emotional attachment strengthens naturally. Presence allows connection to feel human rather than idealized. Emotional availability also means showing up consistently, not only during easy moments. Being attentive during quiet times, ordinary conversations, or emotionally neutral days builds depth. Attachment does not grow only in intense moments. It grows in the between spaces where comfort settles. These moments create emotional familiarity, which the mind associates with stability. Being present also involves emotional regulation. Responding thoughtfully instead of reactively keeps interactions safe and calm. When emotions are handled with maturity, connection feels peaceful rather than chaotic. Peace becomes attractive when life feels overwhelming, and emotional calm becomes something the mind seeks repeatedly. Presence creates emotional nourishment. When interactions feel fulfilling instead of draining, attachment deepens without effort. Emotional fulfillment leaves a lasting imprint because it satisfies an internal need rather than a temporary desire. Over time, presence begins to feel like emotional home, a place where energy is restored rather than depleted, where authenticity is welcomed, and where connection feels effortless and deeply grounding.